Hi, Stu here from Retail Corsa Asia. Welcome back to the channel. I want to spend some time this week to talk about race day. What does race day mean? What does it mean for you as a parent? What does it mean for your child? Racing is why we do this. At the end of the day, it is so exciting to be part of race day. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. So in the build up to race day, there are a number of things we're going to do. We're going to make sure, first of all the kids are running full weights. When they race, the kids are all homologated so that they run 110 kilograms. So if you have a very small child, they're going to be carrying 20 kilos of lead. A larger child might carry 5 to 10 kilos of lead. But at the end of the day, there's no advantage in being light and small, that all of the kids are going to carry the same weight. So what we do as a lead up to race day is we make sure, first of all the kids are practicing at full weight so that there's no risk they get to race day and they go, oh, my cart feels terrible, it's awful, it won't corner, I have to brake it, it's all wrong. And it's all because, you know, people have been racing, they've been practicing with no weights and they get to race day. We make sure that all of the carts are in optimal condition. Now, as you get into your first couple of races, you're probably going to use your same practice engine. Once you really get it, as your kids get faster, it becomes more competitive and you get more involved, it's quite likely that you'll run two engines. You'll have a practice engine, which is the one that you use and you flog every day, that, you know, is what you use for practice. And then you keep another engine, you know, really good condition, which is used on race day, because a fresh engine will make a real difference. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll either recondition the engine, so we'll actually pull the engine down, we'll hone out the bore, we'll put a new piston in it, we'll rebuild the engines before race day so that you go in with a fresh engine if you're using a practice engine, or if you're using a race engine, we'll swap you onto your race engine. You'll find that all of the gear must be, you know, valid and up to date. So you may be wearing an old pair of gloves for practice, which have expired in their homologation, and they might be perfectly good for practice, but when you get to race day, you'll get disqualified during the scrutineering. So scrutineering will go over, they'll check the helmet, they'll check the gloves, the suit, the boots, they'll make sure there's no holes in the bottom of your boots, no holes in your gloves, that, you know, if there was an accident would allow something to happen. They will check the carts from end to end to make sure they're not being adjusted, modified, the engine is all completely stock. All of the carts need to be homologated, which means they need to be exactly the same. The carburetors are the same, the engines are the same. Over time, people will try and cheat, they'll try and modify engines, they'll try and modify carburetors. People get caught out doing that. I highly recommend you stay well away from that. There is nothing more crushing for a child to get disqualified because an adult made a decision to cheat and modify an engine or something like that. It happens, kids get disqualified, it's very public. You know, they do it to make an example so that other people don't do it. So, you know, I highly recommend you stay well away from that. So on race day, every kid will have their own mechanic. Literally, it is a 1-to-1 ratio. You've got a mechanic who's there, you come into the pits, the tires, the temperatures, the pressure, the setup, the engine, everything is all controlled by that one mechanic. They will basically look after the cart, they'll bring it back, they'll have it ready to go, they look after you know, timing and stuff to make sure they're in the right place at the right time and that you have the optimal experience. So that is incredibly special for a child to be a part of that, where, you know, they've got their own mechanic. On race day, they'll go through, there will be a set of warm-ups, there'll be qualifying where the kids are simply racing against the clock. They'll then go through a series of heats, depending on how many kids. So if you had 50, 60, 80, 100 kids in some of the countries, you know, if you go up to Italy, there could be 120 kids racing. They break them into a set of heats. The heats get whittled down to the pre-final and then the final, and there'll be prizes and awards at the end of it. So a lot of fun, a lot of adrenaline that tends to go on. Many of the kids will do their very best times on race day. Now, mechanically, I said to you that we'll either swap the engine or recondition the engine. We also do a number of things to the carts. All the kids start race day on fresh tires. We put a brand new set of tyres. The kids are allowed one set of tyres for a race weekend. So they can come into it with an old set of practice tyres, and maybe you'll do warm up on practice tyres, and then you'll put your race tyres on, a fresh set of rubber, and that will allow the kids to go and do their very best times. Now, we will also change a couple of other parts. We will change things, and this is where parents will sometimes go, well, why are you changing these parts? We will change the chain and the sprocket, because a worn chain and a worn sprocket actually grip and grab, and they actually absorb energy. So a fresh sprocket and chain will actually release the car and then make it just a little bit faster and freer. Equally, we'll usually change the spark plug to put a fresh plug in. We'll also sometimes change the coil, because if a coil were to fail during the race, it can really wreck your entire weekend. What we do is we take any parts that are salvageable and we put them in a box. We put fresh parts on for race day. We race. And then when the kids go back to practice, if any of those parts were salvageable and usable, we'll put those parts back on for practice. So we don't actually burn new parts. We simply prioritize, we always put the new parts on for race day because they'll give the best experience. So I hope that tells you a little bit about race day and what we do, and where we try and set the kids up to have the greatest fun and the greatest success on race day. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a like, share this with anyone else you think may benefit from this. And if you have any questions you'd like answered, please drop them down below and I'll be happy to try and answer them. Thank you.